Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening to all of us. And this evening, we will be discussing on introduction to customs intelligence. So I think it will be a good idea we start with the definition or understanding the word intelligence. As we may be aware, intelligence encompasses a lot of, has different and varied meanings depending on the intended usage. While all the various meanings share some common words. So I think intelligence, when it comes to customs, intelligence can simply be defined as a product resulting from the collection, collation, evaluation, processing, and analysis of data and information in order to produce intelligence, which will ultimately help in decision making. So what does intelligence do? Intelligence serves so many purposes. One of the purposes is it helps in decision making. Intelligence also play a vital role in enforcement operations, and it is worthy to note that all security agencies in Nigeria and some high-end business companies have intelligence department within them, because it is through those departments they can source for intelligence that can help them shape the future of their business. So in essence, intelligence is looking to the future. So before, I think, as we start, we need to define some terms. We will first of all start by defining the word data. Data is any raw. Data is raw. It is unorganized. It is unprocessed facts and figures. Facts are usually things that are verified.
The audio is not clear.
Okay, but can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, but you said I'm not audible.
No, it wasn't me. I think it was CSC, SC Zara that spoke. The network is breaking a little, but we can hear you, sir.
Okay. So facts are usually anything that are true and are verifiable, while figures are numerical data. So an example of data will be like on our bill of lading. If somebody just come up with the fact that I have seen 1,000 on bill of lading, as it is 1,000 doesn't make sense. 1,000 kg as it is doesn't make sense. But when you put it in context, 1,000 kg of cement, bags of cement, or let's assume you are saying we have 20 packages of cement and it weighs 1,000 kilograms. You have put like 3 pieces of data into context. What you just did was you have formed an information. So information can also be defined or described as raw, unprocessed data that after processing and analysis can become intelligent. So in essence, intelligence can be the product resulting from the analysis, the processing and analysis of the collected data and information. Okay. This pyramid is actually showing us the basis upon which we build intelligence. First of all, you must have data. From data, when you add 1, 2, 3 data, what you usually arrive at is information. Then after you make meaning out of that information, what you obtain is intelligence. Then that intelligence can then be used in order to aid decision making. Let me just cite an example of how as I have started explaining how data and information, the differences between the two of them. Let's say, for example, on our bill of lading, we have a column for weight. We have column for number of packages. We have also another column for CBM, that is the volume of the cargo, if it is a containerized cargo. And we have a place that carries the port of loading. We have a place for port of destination. Each of those pieces, as they are data. But when you put in together 1, 2, or 3 or more of them together, what you have is information. And when you try to make meaning out of the information you have made, then that is intelligence. So this particular diagram is also further explaining how data transforms to information, then intelligence, which ultimately results in decision making, which is knowledge at the end. So I think this place we have already explained the difference between intelligence and data. So on a nutshell, information cannot be a basis for decision makers to take action because it has not been processed into a meaningful and actionable item. But intelligence has already been processed, and it is available for decision makers to serve as a basis for decision making. So this table is just highlighting what I explained before. For example, the column for year here, when somebody comes to you and mentions 2010, as it is 2010, to you it will mean only the year 2010. Okay, but maybe he mentioned a boy 2010. It will not necessarily mean something to you. But when the person mentioned, okay, Jacob ranked first. Jacob is a boy who ranked first in 2010. There is a meaning to that. That is an information. When, for example, you put it in context, in comparison to all other items on the data array, like the information about Isabella, Ethan, Sophia, Michael, you put it in all this context and said, in 2010, Jacob was one of those that came first, and Jacob is a boy. So a boy and a girl come first. Now you have put 5 information into a context to know which one ranked first and which one came last. That is in a way like intelligence. What you are now arriving at is intelligence because you were able to compare like 5 sets of information together to come with an idea of what is going on here. So the next slide is showing us the 3 levels of intelligence we have. We have 3 levels of intelligence, which are strategic, tactical, and operational intelligence. The intelligence we are looking at here is usually inferred to mean those who this particular intelligence is being delivered to. So strategic intelligence has purpose, it also has time frame, and also has context. So the purpose of strategic intelligence, it is used by decision makers. the highest level of management, let's say, for example, the Board of Nigerian Customs Service or the CG can tax the Customs Intelligence Unit on a particular assignment that he wants an intelligence on consignment going to either China or India. That need for intelligence is strategic. It is usually the time span for strategic intelligence involves number of years, not months. So the information required could warrant the intelligence unit to look at information and data spanning maybe from 1 year up to 6 years or even more. So at strategic level, the highest level of management in an organization or even outside the organization, like in relation to customs, it can be that the Ministry of Finance is the one needing such data. The request for data can come from the desk of the president also. That is just where strategic intelligence, the demand for strategic intelligence comes from, and that is where the product is also delivered. So tactical intelligence. In tactical intelligence, let's say, for example, at the level of command or level of, let's say, for example, the border patrols or the moment where we have units like joint task force. So the intelligence that can be required by such unit or our area controllers is known as tactical intelligence, because it is an intelligence being required by the managers of frontline officers. So, for example, an area controller will decide after coming newly to a command that he wants a profile of all the releasing officers in his command for the past 3 to 6 months. So the intelligence unit of that command, or CIU as a unit, is being tasked to give him or her the intelligence on the activities of each releasing officer. So such type of intelligence is known as tactical, because the end user of the of that particular intelligence will be either that area controller, if it is a command. Well, if it is a unit like joint border patrol, such task force, then they are the recipient of such intelligence. They will usually use it to plan how the activities of the unit under them will be going on. So when it comes to operational intelligence are usually the intelligence being served to help the day-to-day decisions of a particular unit or department. So the alert being sent out by CIU on daily basis to area controllers, to the DC terminals, to releasing officers, that will help them in a particular day. Okay, in looking at all the assessment of today, this particular SGD has been analyzed, has been processed and analyzed, and arrived at that this particular consignment is carrying television, not granite as been declared by the declarant. So such intelligence is called operational intelligence. So I think this one is this slide is also explaining further what strategic intelligence is. It supports policymakers in high level hierarchy, so that they will plan for the particular unit or even the country. So under strategic intelligence can demand that Nigerian Customs Service should present intelligence that can be used so that the activities of Nigerian Customs can be key in to national developmental plan. Then the tactical intelligence, it supports local managers, like in our own case, our controllers or some of the DCs heading some units. Then we have the operational intelligence, which supports frontline units in taking case-specific action. So here is also a pyramid, also explaining, further explaining what strategic, tactical, and operational intelligence are. So operational intelligence for execution, tactical intelligence for planning, and strategic intelligence for policy. Then the next one is sources of intelligence. Sources of intelligence can be varied, and there are many. It only depends on the needs and demands of a particular organization, department, or unit. First of all, we have human intelligence. Usually, human intelligence comes as a result of one-on-one interaction or directed surveillance. Directed surveillance involves an operative. An operative is someone working in an intelligence unit. An operative following a target, observing what the target is into. Or intelligence can be sourced through human intelligence by means of interview or, as I said, physical observation. And human intelligence is one of the main ways in which most intelligence agencies are getting their intelligence. So in essence, this particular human intelligence is telling on the source from which this type of intelligence derives its data. The next one is signals intelligence. Under signal intelligence, this one refers to, is talking about the interception of signals between two parties. The signals can be electronic, it can be communication signals. So under signal intelligence, we have something called communication intelligence. We have electronic intelligence. We also have foreign instrumentation signal intelligence. All these type of intelligence are under signal intelligence. Communication intelligence involves intercepting communication signals also between two parties. I think for the purpose of exams, it is always good to know at least the names of the authentic sources of intelligence, because some of our previous question we have seen where I think they outline like 4 sources of intelligence. Among them, they mention desktop intelligence, which is not an established type of intelligence. So then the next one is imagery intelligence. Under imagery intelligence usually involve the presentation of objects by optical means, usually by means of taking photos. So, for example, there are situations whereby human intelligence can result into imagery intelligence. When an operative is out in the field and he was able to observe maybe a particular container or a person of interest. So him trying to bring a picture of that particular target or person or item of interest, that particular source of data is an imagery intelligence source. Then we have digital intelligence. Under digital intelligence, it involves you sourcing your data from things like mobile phones, computers. So in essence, the type of intelligence we are getting from NICES. So we download Excel sheets there, and process and clean the data, process it and analyze it is a form of digital intelligence. Then the last one we have here, because there are many more types of intelligence depending on the unit one is serving. we have open source intelligence. Under open source intelligence, it refers to just information sources and data sources that is freely available to everybody. It is out in the open. It just remains for the person who knows or who demands to know deeper into it. So sources of open source intelligence, you can get your intelligence from social media, pages of newspapers, watching television. All those are open source sources of open source intelligence. So any data you picked from those places is considered open source. Then you bring them back to the office, process and analyze it. So the next one is intelligence cycle. Intelligence cycle 2 varies according to command and varies according to unit, department, and according to organizational need. Some have like 5 or from 4 to 7 phases in it. Like the one we have here has only 5 phases. So, but others, like the one here, has 4 phases, which involves direction, collection, analysis, and dissemination. So I think we will use this one, but if we notice that all of them has like 4, however, from 4 to the 7 phase intelligence cycle, all of them must involve at least 4 of these items: the direction, the collection, analysis, and the dissemination. So I think we can start with direction. So in some cases, usually this direction comes with planning. So in intelligence cycle, this is the first step in the cycle. Usually when you have a 5-step process. So usually it is used to also collect, analyze, and disseminate intelligence. The other items we have there are the collection. So planning and direction is the most important step in the intelligence cycle, as it is the stepping stone, or what sets the stage for all other steps to follow. It involves identifying the intelligence needs of policymakers. So usually it is in this first phase that if those at the strategic level want to give a task to an intelligence unit, it is at this level they give the direction, they state their need and desire for what exactly they want. So usually at this phase, it involves identifying the intelligence needs of the policymakers and even the consumers of intelligence. So developing a collection plan also happens here. It is here that you develop, how do I want to collect my data? And how do I allocate resources to each phase as we go? So I think usually at this stage, the intelligence needs of policymakers and consumers usually are being said here. Usually we consider there is what we call objective key result and key performance index. Under the objective key results, we usually set our target and also set the metric with which we will measure how we go about achieving that particular target. Well, under the key performance indicator or index, that is, we have what we can use to measure the success of how well we are going about achieving our direction. So the key activities going on under the planning and direction phase, that's the first one. Usually after we allocate resources that can help us in the collection effort. We also develop a timeline for the production of the intelligence, because it must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So we also establish quality control, like something like an evaluation method. So planning and direction, honestly, is essential to the overall success of the cycle. So the next phase, and in between those phases, just imagine where you see those arrows. There is what we call a sterile corridor. Sterile corridor in intelligence cycle is usually created in order to avoid those intelligence operative in one phase to know what is going on in the other phase. So, for example, the intelligence officers in the processing phase will be prevented from knowing how the collection is being done. So that process or action being done is called the sterile corridor. So in the collection phase, it involves gathering raw information that is needed to produce the finished intelligence. So this is where all those sources of intelligence we mentioned, human, SIGINT, and OSINT, all of them, that's where they are happening in the collection phase. And I want to make it categorically clear, there is no phase that is more important than the other. Then when we move to the processing phase involves usually converting the raw information collected into a form that can be analyzed by intelligence analysts. So after the collection here, so the raw information can then be prepared, cleaned, and subjected to analysis. Then your information now is ready for analysis. Then we are in analysis phase. So here some people used to refer to this particular phase as analysis and production. So under analysis and production, that is where we're integrating the processed information from all sources of information. We fuse them together in order to develop a coherent, comprehensible finished product. And that finished product is intelligent. So anything going out of the analysis phase is already intelligence. Then when it reaches the dissemination and feedback phase, this is where you deliver that particular product, the intelligence you have, to those who require it. So the intelligence being disseminated can go to one of those three levels we have mentioned earlier. It can go either to strategic level, it can go into tactical level, or to the operational level. And usually, why we have dissemination and feedback is usually for the purpose of getting credibility on the intelligence you just deliver. You want feedback. The feedback can be positive so that at least you enhance what is required, or can be negative for you to evaluate the whole process and know where the problem lies. So the whole cycle is iterative. Iterative in the sense that you can change it the way you like in order to suit the goal or target of your organization. So this one is the 4-cycle intelligence cycle. So in the 4-cycle, we have direction, collection, analysis, and dissemination. And whenever you want to define intelligence, usually if it involves the usage of these 3 words, the usage of these 4 words, you usually get it right. So the next one is principles of intelligence. Under the principle of intelligence, we have an acronym called CROSSCAT. Under the CROSSCAT, we have centralized control, responsiveness, objectivity, systematic exploitation, source protection, continuous review, accessibility, and timeliness. So under the first ones, centralized control, when it comes to generation and dissemination of intelligence product, there is need for a control to be in one place. That is centralized control. There should be a unity in the intelligence gathering and intelligence dissemination. So responsiveness, that's the next one. Under responsiveness, the intelligence you have disseminated should serve the purpose of the decision makers. That's responsiveness. Well, objectivity is the ability of your intelligence to at least be free of bias. We have several forms of bias. We have something like salience bias, where you tend to favor facts that you think are more important and neglect the unimportant ones, even though the presence of the unimportant facts usually can alter either the execution or how the most important facts usually materialize into action. So you have confirmation bias, whereby you already have a mindset that anything that object to that mindset you tend not to believe it. So even if it is an search, you want to conduct search in a search engine, you tend to use words that will justify that particular result you are trying to get. You have stereotypes. Stereotypes are usually you have a negative or positive feeling about a set of people. So you always used to treat that particular group or set of people in the same way. So we have we have different type of bias. So objectivity means your intelligence should be free from bias. Then the next one is systematic exploitation. Under systematic exploitation, this one in a way looks similar to centralized control, because it is stressing the fact that the collection effort should be coordinated. It should not be haphazard, that this person is doing this person is doing that without any coordination. That is, in a way, systematic exploitation. Well, source protection. It is always important to ensure the continuous supply of information and data, that you can always protect your source. Source protection is a life and death issue to some people giving you information. So once you cannot protect them, nobody will be so eager to come forward and give you information. And an intelligence officer requires a steady flow of information and data. Then continuous review, in a way, is like evaluation. You always evaluate what you have done. Then accessibility. In accessibility is the ability to provide the intelligence you have generated to those who have the need to know. So timeliness, it must have a time limit, like we have mentioned earlier. So, okay, this one is smart in a way. It has some element that resembles what we've just discussed. It must be specific. It must be clear, unambiguous, measurable. There is a way you will know what is required of you, and it must be achievable. You cannot come to Nigerian customs. The federal government would not warrant Nigerian customs to produce intelligence on terrorist activities in Nigeria, because it is not a big area of specialization to us. So it must be relevant to our work. So what is required of us should also be relevant to our work, and it should have time. It should be time bound. So the next one is benefit of intelligence to customs operation. I think during the opening slides we have mentioned it helps government in policy formulation. It also helps the highest management, those in the highest hierarchy, to make decision, and it can also be used to influence the area of revenue generation. You can use intelligence to identify where you have revenue leakages. You can use intelligence to identify where controls are not effectively being enforced. So another benefit of intelligence in customs operation is it supports area controllers, assistant controller generals manning our various zonal offices. It supports them with the requisite knowledge and intelligence in order to plan the activities of their area of operations. And it also can be used to improve compliance, because once you know that there are some people in the shadow watching over you, usually people will tend to sit up. It's also a matter of national security. So customs, during our course of work, we have in so many cases intercepted arms coming into Nigeria, mostly by use of intelligence. So in customs, the intelligence operatives there monitor the conduct of its personnel. We also monitor the conduct of stakeholder. That's the stakeholder examination. So challenges to information gathering. Under some of these challenges are information glut. Under information glut simply means a situation whereby you have a lot of information or you have a lot of data at your disposal to the extent that you don't even know which one to pursue. So we have explained biases, then the requisite training being given to some of the operatives is usually too small for the amount of tasks they are expected to undertake. Then data storage. Sometimes we have, usually now we store most of our data on paper. So we tend to fill up our storage space rather quickly. So in a situation where the information is being stored in hard disks, usually we don't have an established way of destroying such storage capabilities. So ultimately, it can result in somebody using the discarded hard disks to retrieve information or intelligence from it. Then the last one is conspiracy of silence, whereby an intelligence operative will be asking his fellow colleague, what is going on here? Then another person will come beside him and tell him this guy is from CIU, so that they will be left alone. So this is conspiracy of silence. So I think in order to go over the key points, we were able to define intelligence as a product resulting from the collection, analysis, processing, from collection, collation, processing, analysis, and dissemination of We earlier on defined intelligence as a product that is resulting from collection, collation, processing, and analysis of information and data that will ultimately lead to dissemination of that same data for the purpose of decision making. We were also able to identify 3 levels of intelligence, which are strategic level, that is the one for policy making, then tactical level for planning in such a way, like from area command controller asking for a particular task that usually involve 3 to 6 months up to a year. Then the operational level that is required for day-to-day execution of tasks in our command. Those are the three levels of intelligence. Then we highlighted also the sources of intelligence, such as human intelligence, imagery intelligence, open source intelligence, digital intelligence, and communication intelligence and electronic intelligence. Then we also look at the intelligence cycle. The intelligence cycle we looked at. We say must have at least those 4 phases. We have the direction phase, the collection phase, the analysis, and dissemination. At least each intelligence cycle must have at least 4 of this. So in some situations, we also mention some cycles can have up to 7 phases, and we also made mention of sterile corridor, which prevent some operatives working in a particular phase from knowing what is going on in the other phase, so that to safeguard the sanctity of the integrity of of what is going on in a particular phase. Let me not call it information. So I think we also discuss on principles of intelligence, which has the acronym CrossCat, and we also discuss something briefly on SMART. So I think with this, I will say I have come to the end of the brief discussion. So I think Amina, you can go ahead and
please. I have a question before Amina goes in.
Okay.
In all the steps of intelligence, do you require M&E, or it is when you finish collecting, collation, and analyzing before you get into M&E? M&E, monitoring and evaluation.
Monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation is required in all the phases. That is why in some of the diagrams of intelligence cycle, you will see that monitoring and evaluation is another big cycle, cycling the whole cycle. So in all of them, you should always be evaluating the steps you take, and also monitoring what evaluation and monitoring are in a way the same thing. So you need that.
Thank you.
Thank you, CSC SD Umar. For the past 45 minutes or thereabouts, we have listened to your very, very, very well packaged lecture on Introduction to Customs Intelligence. The lecture has been informative. We are better informed. We have gained more knowledge simply by being on this space today. And it is our sincere hope that the knowledge gained today will help us not only to pass our promotion exams, but in our future endeavors in the service. On behalf of the members of this Telegram group, I sincerely thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and deliver this lecture to us all. For those of us that are unaware, CSC SD Umar did not only put this group together, but has taken time out to source for resource persons in order to enrich the group and make our promotion seamless. despite the fact that he is not even writing. We thank you, and we hope that you will continue to have this energy for the service. So we will begin to take questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand so that we can unmute your mic. And yes, Sayedi Barau is raising his hand. Sayedi Barau, you have the floor, please. Sayedi Barau, I don't know if he's still online, but yes.
Are you hearing me, ma?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yes. I say good evening, all.
Good evening,
today,
sir.
This week, the way we listen the well-packaged lecture from our colleagues, and I'm sure CIU officers are here listening to this lecture. And I hope most of CIU officers must ask questions for us to have more understanding, because they are the ones that are in field knowing what is intelligence. But the way our Oga Umar delivered this lecture, I am become CIU intelligence officer now, whether I'm in the unit or not.
Thank you very much, Oga Sayedi Barau. I am sure all of us have an insight towards
I'm intelligent officer.
CIU agents.
The way he delivered this lecture, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Very much. CIU officers flow is for you now. That for us to have more understanding. Thank you very much. And God bless the Umar, sir.
Thank you very much. OM, Sir OM, I can see you raising your hand. Let me unmute your mic. You have the floor, sir. Hello. Hello. Okay, he may have a problem with his network. I can see ASC Muhammad. No. SC Muhammad Sayedi. Let me unmute your mic to speak. Oga Sayedi, you have the floor. Muhammad Sayedi, this time around, please. Hello. I don't know if we have problem with the mic or the network.
It could be the network, but those who even want to make observation, make some addition, you can still go ahead and.
Okay.
Yes.
Abubakar Ibrahim. Hello.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
Oga Abubakar, we can hear
Can you hear me? Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much. That's a wonderful lecture. Please, my question is, you made the mention of signal intelligence.
Yes.
It's like under signal intelligence, you made the mention of some intelligence that's under signal intelligence. Please, can you shed more light on it for me?
Okay. I think I made mention of communication intelligence, and then electronic intelligence. Then I think the other one is foreign instrumentation signals intelligence. So usually, let me just do it in a very simple and straightforward way. Signal intelligence involves the interception of signals. So it is like an umbrella body where you have communication intelligence. So if those signals are signals emanating from communication between individuals, that is when you have communications intelligence, which is abbreviated as COMINT. Or if those signals are emanating from electronic signals, not directly used in communication, that one is called electronic intelligence. So signal intelligence, hello? Go ahead.
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
Okay. So I think in essence, those are the third one, honestly, that foreign instrumentation signal intelligence. Honestly, I didn't have enough time to check well on it, but the other two, that's essentially what they mean. So, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Hassan Sise Magaji wants to talk. So let me unmute your mic. Hassan, you have the floor, please. Hello. Usman Abakar Mohammed also wants to talk. I have unmuted you. So either one can speak, please. They have kept quiet. Ale boy wants to speak. Okay, allowed to speak. Okay. Oga boy, we're listening to you. Oh, Nuruddin Dasuki also wants to speak. Allowed to speak. Oga Nuruddin. Hello.
Madam,
I think some people raise their hand without realizing they want to.
Now, Nuruddin is already speaking. He's about to start speaking. Umar. Hello, Oga Umar.
Yes, go ahead. I think Gabdo is okay.
I'll give them the floor first. I'll give them the floor.
Okay.
We're listening.
Okay, Gabdo, I think you can go ahead, please.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, thank you. Once again, good evening. I know this is for the purpose of exam, but at the same time, it's an avenue for us to learn more and ask questions as much as we can for better understanding. At that point, will one say, I have enough intelligence and I think at this point I need to stop it after your feedback, or this is just a continuous process?
So after, if for example, in the planning and direction phase, you were given a task, let's assume by the CGC, to produce intelligence, trade intelligence between Nigeria and India. They want you to give them everything that is going on, where Nigeria has maybe trade surplus or trade deficit with regards to a particular or specific importation. So the moment you disseminate that intelligence and inquire about the feedback, in that particular instance, that is the end of that particular cycle. But as it is, the cycle can be continuous, because once you were giving feedback, you go back to a particular phase in which you can evaluate what you have done, whether you have gotten it right or where you need improvement, you improve. Where you need a complete or total overhaul, you can give that. Because the main purpose of that evaluation, feedback, and monitoring, it usually helps to make you understand whether your intelligence is accurate and reliable. And it can also tell you that whether your intelligence is timely or relevant to the needs that you are being taxed upon. So, and it can also, the evaluation and feedback can also help you whether that particular intelligence you have delivered has been used in making some decision, whether it has the desired impact. So in essence, it will help you just understand whether what you have collected and produced is efficient and effective. I don't know whether I have.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, do I have the floor?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
The question I wanted to ask, I think, is what SC Gabdo has asked, but just to buttress his observation, one would have thought that by this teaching of intelligence, the issue of intelligence cycle ordinarily should have been steps in intelligence. The reason why I'm saying this is, when you talk of a cycle, it's something that has a beginning, take through a round and then come to the same point to continue again. But if you look at intelligence cycle very, very, very deeply, it will seem that it has a beginning, and surely we have an end if you have a perfect intelligence. Even if you include the feedback system of the intelligence cycle into it, it means that once you have been able to give a good intelligence and it has been used in policy, that for policy planning or execution, and then you are giving a feedback, the best you can do out of that is to say, fine, I have given a good intelligence. I do not think that it will be a basis to start another intelligence action all over again. I don't know if I'm making a point.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Okay.
Unless those who tax you with that same intelligence can give you another tax. I think you have made perfect sense.
Thank you.
Aliyu Muhammad Inwa, you are raising your hand. I will unmute you. Aliyu Muhammad Inwa, you have the floor, please.
If Aliyu is not on the
Aliyu
line,
Muhammad
whether
Inwa.
I will be authorized to speak.
Okay. Are we to assume that the questions, observations, and comments have finished? Hello? In the
Yes,
absence of no further
can
questions.
I go ahead?
The Suti
I
can
don't
go.
know if you can hear me, sir.
You can go ahead.
Thank you very much for well packaged, sir. Mine is a scenario. Let me just say it. While on patrol along Babaldo axis, a vehicle was sighted suspected to be carrying smuggled item. The patrol officers stopped the vehicle and tried to make arrest of the driver, but he quickly ran into a political rally. So all effort to get him arrested fell abortive. So how do we classify this? Is it an information or intelligence, sir?
No, I think, Nuruddin, please repeat where you said, repeat what you mentioned in the first, maybe the first two lines.
Okay, sir. A team of patrol officers along Babaldo axis, while on patrol, sighted a vehicle suspected to be carrying smuggled item. So they were trying to make arrests. On sighting the patrol vehicle, the driver ran away and entered into a political rally. All effort to make him arrested fell abortive. I say, how do we classify this? Is it an intelligence or information, sir?
Okay, I think you using the word suspicion. Usually, intelligence, honestly, is implying you have a tentative item to work with. So usually I have seen a lot of mistakes being done. You will see an officer maybe writing a report. At the top of the report, he will be writing intelligence on so maybe C number. Then within the body of the report, he will write suspected to be so and so and so. So honestly, when you are giving out intelligence, the appearance or the sense you are giving out is of certainty. You are giving certainty because once you are still suspecting, it means the process of processing and analysis were not done well. Because if they were done well, you can just confidently say, okay, this consignment is carrying a particular item. It means you have already used a lot of data. You have had processed a lot and analyzed a lot of information to arrive at such conclusions. So left to me, I would say what you have there, since it is suspicion, you have information. You have not already verified that exactly what that person is carrying. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Asakwe. Oga Asakwe, you have the floor, please. Hello?
I think is the network is.
The network is terrible this evening.
Yes.
Hello, Auntie Emmanuel, you can now speak.
Okay, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can I go?
Yes,
Go ahead.
please.
Can I? Okay. Just to add to the explanation from CSC Umar on the question asked by the last speaker as to the incident of an escaped alleged smuggler. Like he said, what you have in that scenario are pieces of information that can be put. Can you hear me, please?
Yes,
Yes,
go
we
ahead,
can all
Ogabun.
hear you.
Yes. There are pieces of information that, can be put together, analyzed, and processed into intelligence. What do I mean by that? The alleged smuggler escaped and ran into a political rally. So if he was, suspected to be carrying uncustom goods, the vehicle in question, the route, even the rally, this will serve as information that will be used to give intelligence, transmitted from wherever it is processed, maybe headquarters, to the command, such that in future occurrence, because they are already armed with how such smuggler will escape and all of that, that intelligence that will now be sent to such destination will help to ensure that in such future occurrence, he will not escape into any political rally or any such gathering again. So what I'm trying to say is that That, analysis you just gave of what happened are information that can be put together. Now analyze what kind of vehicle did he use, what other circumstances that happened around that period, what is the route, what is the location, what normally happen around, is it political rally, is it market, is it, by the time you put all of this, you'll be able to send an intelligence to the command that on so period, maybe for instance, whenever there is a rally, there is a tendency, everything has been put together to give that intelligence that will help to, arrest the situation if it comes up again. Thank you.
So I think Amina, we can call it a night. So colleagues, honestly, yeah, okay.
Can I talk, sir?
Go ahead.
Emmanuel. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I want to just bring up a question we have seen in the past questions before. That sources of intelligence, open sources of intelligence. What is the open source intelligence? They listed Facebook, Twitter, newspapers, and Facebook was taken out of it as the right answer. I want you to speak on that so that let us get to know why is Facebook choosing and newspapers are choosing, and why is not Facebook not choosing, or Twitter? Please.
Okay, Auntie Emmanuel. Thank you very much for that question. And I think one of the concerns, some of these, I think most of the question we are just forwarding to one another are usually questions being set by our colleagues. So some of them honestly were wrong. Like in that question, you have newspaper is an open source of information. Facebook can also be an open source of information. Twitter can also be an open source of information. So I think because of all this, what is going on, we have decided to invite CSC Zamere. He will be with us on Sunday. I think since most of those questions, he was the one compiling them, we will be able to ask him directly if maybe some of them, they have justification. But I want to assure you that, honestly, some of the questions you can see that they are wrong. Honestly, they are. So we don't need to stress ourselves because all those questions were not officially been sanctioned by Nigerian Customs Service. They are just effort of one officer to the other officer trying to help. So I think, Mr. Emmanuel, I have put down your question. On Sunday when Ozamere is with us, we will be able to discuss all those concerns at length.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I think we pray that when he comes back, he will be with us on Sunday. Thank you.
Hello.
I just want to add one thing to what
Hello?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I think all of these questions depends on the marking schemes. Because, for instance, now you will see a question. I'm giving an example. They will ask you what is the procedure code for IDEC. And IDEC, I think it's supposed to be, extended procedure code. But the question will come, what is the procedure code for IDEC? So it depends on the marking scheme. Some answers might be right, but the marking scheme might fail you. So, well, I don't know how all these things can be corrected.
I will also be happy to announce that we have an officer, a CSC, that is working in the area of identifying where we have either wrong questions or wrong answers. He's working on them, and before those sitting for this examination will sit, he will come on this platform and be able to explain that in so situation, if at all you come across mistakes in question, this is how you will be able to go about tackling those questions. I think we already have an officer working on that area.
That would be great.
Yes. So I think we can. We have already taken now 1 hour, like 15 minutes. So,
Yeah.
So in the and I
Umar.
Yes, go ahead, Mohammed.
Yeah, thank you for a well packaged lectures. We all understood what sterile corridor means, and I think the first caller asked a question about or on monitoring and evaluation, which you rightly said it can be found across the 4 cycles of intelligence, right?
Yes.
Now, my question is there in any way we have, or is there in any way sterile corridor affect monitoring and evaluation or in the steps or at the cycle? Is there in any way the sterile corridor affect monitoring and evaluation?
I think no, because usually the authority exercising that particular sterile corridor should be the highest level in a particular unit. So, like for example, if we have let's assume the customs intelligence unit in Apapa. So the person in charge of that sterile corridor should be the team manager. He should be the one to say, okay, those collecting data should not have access to the processed data in order to protect the integrity of the analyzed data which has already been packaged into intelligence. So the sterile corridor is meant for the highest ranking officer in a particular unit. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
I think that aside the sterile corridor, even the monitoring and evaluation, I think is also done by the supervisory officer. Yes. Yes, because he will be in a position to coordinate all the other elements and be able to evaluate each of these elements in terms of monitoring and evaluation. Because other operatives operating at the various element level will be doing what they are tasked to do. For instance, if your job is collection, you are faced with the issue of collection. If you are for analysis, you are doing the analysis. So I think it is still the head that would be doing the will be doing the evaluation of activities of the various elements.
Yes, he is the one that will make sure that the separation between those phases or those entities happen. So I think any flow of information from one phase to the other must be authorized by him.
Okay.
Oh God.
I want to add something. The highest ranking officer must not be the M&E officer when it comes to gathering intelligence. From the raw data collection of the raw data, you might have a team that are doing the monitoring and evaluation. By the time they submitted their data, you have another team that will take over for the collection for collation. it's not necessary for the highest ranking officer to be the M&E officer in the intelligence cycle.
Okay, in a way, in the places where we have a segmented unit, each one heading a particular subset can also monitor and evaluate.
Yes.
Thank you.
And they submit it to the next level. Yes.
Okay, taking.
So I think so that not to take.
Umar is tired. He wants to call it a night.
Yeah.
Oga, we hope that in future, before we write these exams, you will come here again in a similar capacity to deliver an enlightening lecture. Thank you very much for this knowledge that you have, invaluable knowledge that you have impacted this evening. Thank you and God bless you. For everybody, the link and the material will be posted online for your perusal. Thank you very much, sir. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.